So what is it that you do?
So I'm a singer-songwriter. We are currently working on a full-length album, but the goal is for right now to come out with 3 singles. The first one that we have out is going to drop in January, which I'm really excited about. I just got back from Miami to finish up with the producers and my manager. We all went out there. We wrote a whole bunch of songs and just the whole vibe out there. And so we're thinking about dropping that single in January.
What kind of music do you sing?
It's R&B.
All right, audience, I have to play dumb. I already know what she does, what kind of music.
Right.
It's fun. You know what? I'm done with that.
Right.
I'm done with that, all right? I know what you're saying. You actually just told me that you rap, too.
A little bit. Like, sometimes in, like, the second verse, I'll throw in, like, a little, like, you know, something that people won't expect.
Something, a couple bars.
Yeah, exactly.
So it flows.
Little bars, yes.
I love it.
Yes.
That's awesome. Is anyone in your family a singer?
Yeah, so my parents are actually both singers. They're both musicians, so I grew up in a very musical household.
Do you have siblings?
Yes, one. She's a singer as well.
Well, so you guys are all singers?
Yes, they're all singers.
Is she older or younger?
She's younger. She's 4 years younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's your family from originally?
The Bronx.
The Bronx.
I was born in the Bronx. My mother is from the Bronx. My dad's from New Rochelle, New York.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're from New York.
I actually almost went to Iona College.
Did you really?
Iona's in New Rochelle, right?
I'm not. That I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where Iona is.
Yeah, in New Rochelle. You're like, really?
Really? Okay. Go Iona.
Yeah, they're in New Rochelle. So when you said your father's from New Rochelle, I went on a visit there because I played football in college. So,
oh, nice.
I went there to go visit. That's great. What ethnicity are you guys?
We're Italian.
You're 100% Italian?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. How many generations ago came from
So my
Italy?
great-grandmother came here on the boat from Italy.
Wow.
Yes.
What part of Italy?
Calabria. Wow. Yes.
Do you ever go back?
You know, I've never been to Calabria, but I did the Amalfi Coast in 2022.
Nice.
But I like more of like the hometown vibes and stuff like that. So I definitely need to make it. It's on my bucket list to go to Calabria.
Nice.
Yeah, I have some cousins out there still, and I would love to go.
Yeah, that's awesome. What was it like growing up in the Bronx?
Well, you know, we moved back when I was very young. My father had found a house, and he had a contracting business that he took from where he was living in New York to Ridgefield, Connecticut, and he just started to develop his business there while building the home. So they kind of ripped it all apart and started from scratch. And that's where they still are today.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And when did you were you singing all through middle school, through high school?
Yes.
And when did you really start to notice that you had something, like a talent that was different than others?
You know, I think I started singing even before I started talking. I feel like it was just like that instant connection. But I didn't, even when I was singing in school and things like that, I didn't realize that it was a gift or about my voice. I didn't really think anything of it because it came so naturally. It wasn't something that I really tried at. So I was like, okay, this is a part of me. But I didn't really realize or accept it until I was maybe 16, 17 years old. And then you really start to get into the industry and starting to become a developed artist. That's when I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of what's setting me apart.
Yeah. And what does that look like for someone at that age becoming... I feel like there's no real definition of a professional singer.
Right.
But what did it look like for you once you started to pursue it professionally?
You know, it is a lot of meetings with management. It's a lot of photo shoots. But then there's the other half of it where it's you really just sitting down and practicing your craft. You know, figuring out what do I want to say in these songs? How do I want to sound? You know, anybody could have a good voice, but really what is the overall message that what I'm trying, what am I talking about? You know what I mean? What is my purpose, really? Why am I doing this? What do I want my fans and my audience to grab? And I think that is the main ingredient, what needs to be done, to be honest, is all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that nobody sees. It's not the shows, the performances, even the interviews. It's all of the hidden work that then comes out in these things.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then you started to really, do you perform live as well?
Currently, I'm not right now because I'm so honed in on this album. But hopefully in 6 months I will start again once all this new music drops.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Are you under a new label right now?
Right now I'm independent.
Yep.
I was signed before in the past, but right now I'm independent.
That's awesome. And you're a fighter too.
Yes.
How did you get into fighting?
So my dad is a fighter. So I grew up just like sort of like the music. There was the martial arts background and then the music. So I grew up with it always just being in the house. Like 2-3 years old, my father being like, let me teach you how to do jujitsu rolls, slap out, learn how to fall so you don't hit your head. Common, basic knowledge, even just for practical self-defense stuff. So when I was about 9 years old, they put me in Kung Fu, which I studied until I was around 18 years old. I got my second-degree black belt there. Me and my dad had traveled to China to train with the Shaolin monks at the temple where we got our black belts.
Wow. That's an experience.
Yes, it was amazing. Then I didn't know it. I was just like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this. But now I look back and I'm like, wow, I wish I could do that again. You know what I mean? It really was like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And to do it with my father was just so much more special.
Yeah.
And then I had taken a break from martial arts for about 4 or 5 years. And I felt like something was just missing in my life, right? I had like this career and everything was going well, but there was another side of me that wasn't being fulfilled. COVID had hit, and I had moved back to the area. And I had found there was an MMA gym over here. Now, I didn't know anything about MMA. I didn't know who Glover Teixeira was, Alex Pereira, his sister Alini, no clue, right? So I see this girl pop up on my Explore page on Instagram, and she's amazing. I see her name's Alini Pereira. She's coming from
Alex Pereira's sister, younger sister.
Yes, younger.
Yeah. Yep.
And she's coming here now from Brazil, and she's going to train at Glover's. So I went on my Google Translate and put in Brazilian, Portuguese.
Yeah.
And I was like, translated a message. And I sent it to her, and I was like, hey, I would love to learn from you. I was like, she's never going to see it, but she responded.
What?
So from there, I became her student. We trained for about 2 years, and her and Alex had showed me their fighting style, their way, which we know is not, it's their own. It's their own flavoring. It's their own rules that they have. And that would be different if I were to walk into like a traditional Muay Thai gym.
Yeah.
And then learning from some of the best strikers in the world was just amazing.
Alex Pereira is, the Pereira family, it's such a tough name to say,
Yes.
is a gifted family.
Yes.
Alex is the best striker, in my opinion, in, I think, all of combat sports.
Right. Yeah.
You couldn't have found a better teacher.
Right.
So the fact that you got that opportunity, you took advantage of that opportunity.
Right.
People are nice too. You reached out to his sister.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's well known. She's in, her own respect, I would say famous.
Yeah.
And the fact that she got back to you and took you under her wing is pretty cool.
Yeah, she's amazing. We developed a really strong bond outside of it. Even though she was just speaking Portuguese and I was speaking English, sometimes you meet somebody with just that soul connection. You're like, wow, you're an incredible person. Like without even talking, you know what I mean?
Language.
Yes, yeah. So from there, I was training with Glover and everybody at the gym too. Glover had me come and do some of their fight team, which is just for the fighters, and I would train with them. And It is humbling. It is a very humbling experience. You know, it's amazing. I have so much respect for every fighter of any kind because it is just another level of dedication.
Yeah. I'm so happy that Glover Teixeira won a belt
Oh my gosh, I know.
before he retired.
I know.
He was so good for so long. He fought John Jones, I want to say like 2013, 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. And he lost the fight. I mean, it's John Jones. But he put up one hell of a fight against
He's all
John
heart.
Jones.
He's all heart,
Yeah.
Glover. And watching him in the gym, how dedicated he is. He doesn't care if it's a Sunday. He doesn't care if he just biked 42 miles. He's in that gym, not only being dedicated to himself, but being dedicated to the fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the fight goes to the ground, it's over with
It's
him.
over.
It's over.
It's over. Yeah.
And people his size, light heavyweights, usually don't know how to grapple or, do jiu-jitsu or anything like that to the ability that he can do it. When you're that big, it's harder.
Right.
But there are black belts, but he would destroy any black belt.
I agree.
That's awesome. And when you started in 2020 at the gym there, you now built this routine, this new structure in your life. What happened in your life outside of, did that structure impact your life in other ways?
Totally.
In a positive manner?
Yeah, I feel like that structure was sort of there in the beginning. Like I grew up being in a kung fu dojo twice a day for hours. You know what I mean? And then stopping and then revisiting this in the MMA world. So I kind of, without that strong discipline that I had from my family, I would have not have been able to transfer that over into the MMA. It sort of was just the way that I was raised.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. What was the 4-year period you took off? Was there any reason that you stopped doing, was it Taekwondo?
Kung Fu.
I'm sorry, Kung Fu.
Yeah. My career was just
Busy.
there. Yeah, busy. And, it's kind of like you take a second to explore new things. And I was in a relationship at the time, and we all know how that goes sometimes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It was just a very different time for me. And I don't think that without that time, I would have transferred over to MMA. I needed that space and time to say, hey, something is missing.
Yeah.
Right? And then now I appreciate martial arts so much more, right?
Yeah.
Like they say, you never know what you got until it's gone. Well, when that was gone, I started realizing what I had.
Yeah. See, martial arts teaches you a lot about yourself. And, when you walk into a gym and you don't know mixed martial arts, or if I went to a Kung Fu gym, I don't know Kung Fu, right? I'd be starting from the ground. And it is a very humbling process, walking in there with men or women and who know and have been doing this for so long. I remember the first time I walked into a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym, gi.
Yeah. Oh.
I wrestled my whole life.
Right.
And then I walk into this gym, and I'm like a decently big guy. I'm 6'2", over 200 pounds, strong guy. And there are these guys that are in there that are 180 pounds, 5'8", 5'9", maybe even smaller.
Right.
And they're submitting me. And it's a very humbling process.
Yes. It's not really about belts. It's not about size. I've seen women and even myself have submitted somebody that's your size because we're smaller. Maybe we could get in different places. You know what I mean? But you would look at somebody and go, oh, they're bigger. Of course they're going to win. Well, yeah, maybe if you were to punch me in the face. Yeah, you know what I mean? You would win. That's a lot stronger. But on the ground, it's a different game.
Yeah. I'm friendly with Kayla Harrison, and she trains with men. She and I was asking her about it, and she had said no, I train with women, but when I'm getting ready for a fight, I train with men.
Wow.
Because I need I need to be pushed. I'll do 3 rounds or 5 rounds or whatever leading up to the fight. I need,
that push.
Yeah, that
totally.
push. And I found that so fascinating. and like
It
she
is.
challenges men.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It's wild.
Wow. Well, it's kind of like that concept. I used to play softball, and it's like before my coach would give me like 7 bats and be like, okay, go swing them, right? So that feels really heavy. Then when it's your turn to bat, you take 1 bat and you're like, wow, that felt like nothing.
Yeah.
That's probably her equivalent to working with a guy who's stronger and heavier. Then you go and fight somebody that's your size. You're like, oh, this is a piece of cake.
That's a very good analogy.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that 100%. So you grow up in the, you're growing up in the Bronx. What was earlier childhood like? Like growing up in, elementary school, middle school, high school, what was that like for you? Were you a party girl? Did you go out? Were you pretty...
I was the kid that had a lot of anxiety. I was the kid that grew up having 4 panic attacks a day and not knowing why. I was the kid with a lot of obsessive, compulsive compulsions, and growing up, it was difficult. It was difficult to have so much anxiety, and then to be in environments where, like in school and stuff, it was difficult for me to learn because of the amount of anxiety that I had. It wasn't until a few years ago that I found out that I have an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Basically, my body attacks itself. And what had happened was the thyroid hormones were so low, and the thyroid antibodies, which causes autoimmunity, were so skyrocketed that it does affect the neurotransmitters in the brain, right? So all of the anxiety, all of the depression was coming from this chronic disease that I didn't know that I had.
Wow.
So all of these years, I'm going to see therapists and psychiatrists, and everybody's like, let's just put you on medication. You know what I mean? So from so young, 12, 13 years old, that is sort of what they did. Nobody thought about, what does her diet look like? What does her lifestyle look like? Maybe we should run some more blood work. Maybe we should, you know what I mean? And nobody thought outside of the box. Now where I am today, the only reason why I don't have these panic attacks and anxieties because I had to change my whole entire lifestyle approach. I had to cut out gluten and dairy and seeds and nuts and see what my body was actually reacting to and changing my lifestyle.
It's crazy how quick doctors are to jump to medication and prescribing things to,
right,
potentially fix a problem when they're really putting Band-Aid on a problem.
Yes.
I do believe in medication for certain things.
Yes,
100%.
I agree.
But I think in your case, really trial and error was never taken.
Right.
And
Right.
before was, the jump to medication happened instantly.
Right.
I'm curious about your thoughts on our medical system, like basically our society, and how in the U.S. we're just so quick to prescribe.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of people, even in my family, my friends, see incredible results while doing, getting their hormones checked. They're all their female hormones, their thyroid hormones, things like as simple as vitamin D, your B12 levels, iron can all contribute to these neurotransmitters being off. I just wish that more people would know, hey, this is an option as well. Not cut one or the other out. You don't have to. But, hey, there's also another way, or even using things. I study herbalism, so I love learning about the adaptogens like ashwagandha, how that calms the nervous system and things like that. There's other things out there, and I think it's all acceptable to explore.
Yeah.
I think that doctors are just not taught that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like it's their fault. It's just a different type of learning. I had done a lot of things with Chinese medicine, holistic, osteopathy, homeopathy, herbalism, things like that on healing the body, and that is put me completely into remission from my condition.
That's amazing. What did the anxiety feel like when you were feeling it?
Constant panic. Like, for the panic attacks, it was sort of like a wave, like almost like a peak. So it starts here and then it reaches the top and you're just freaking out. And you're like, you think that you're going crazy, right? You're like, what is happening to me? And then it reaches the top and then it comes back down and you're calm, right? But that happening, maybe that lasts a minute, but that happening 4 times a day, by the time you reach the bottom, just that one time you're shot. And I'm like, okay, that was draining. It's literally like going on a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you reach the top and you're screaming, then you come back down. And you're like, well, I'm dizzy.
Yeah. When I do these interviews for my podcast afterwards, just the mental,
Yes.
the taxing on my brain. And
Right.
I'm like dead after it. What are things that you would panic about?
With the panic attacks, sometimes there's nothing. Sometimes it's absolutely nothing. I could be sitting in a classroom writing down my notes. I could be in a recording studio singing, and all of a sudden, it just decides to show up. And I think that is the most disturbing thing about it, because it's not like, oh, this person said something mean to me and I'm going to have a panic attack. No. So during the years, I have learned ways to cope with it, whether that's breathing exercises, taking ice baths really, really help, right?
I do.
Do you know about that?
Yeah,
do you?
Of course I do.
Taking like the herbs to help calm the nervous system, reducing cortisol levels, getting your hormones intact. There's all these they're all pieces of the puzzle that just need to come together.
What are some of the thoughts that go through your head when you're dealing with anxiety and in some cases panic attacks?
Right. So I feel like now it's very different. Like from when I was younger, I don't really like small spaces. Like if I'm in a car or like even traffic, I feel stuck. Anytime that I feel stuck, elevators, cars with traffic, small spaces with a lot of people, that for me just doesn't work.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I hate that too.
I know.
I'm very claustrophobic.
I know, me too.
When I was younger, we were like, me and my friends were messing around, and there was a piece of luggage. I was like, "Yo, put me in the luggage."
In the luggage?
Yeah, so I went in, and they closed it. I freaked the fuck out.
Oh my
Yeah, it was
gosh.
like, let's see if we could fit in there.
You went in.
And one time, a fridge. I came home drunk one night. Yeah, I was living at home. I was in college. And I was always a clown growing up.
Right.
And I was trying to make my one brother laugh. I'm like, dude, my mom was coming down and I was hammered. And I'm like, I got to disappear. And I literally opened the fridge quick because I had about 20 seconds until she was downstairs. And I just moved out like bigger things, put them on the counter, and then just got into the fridge and shut it.
Refrigerator's crazy. That's crazy.
I had to hop out before she even left and she caught me. Because I was freaking out. I'm too claustrophobic.
Poor mama.
I know, my mom. Mom, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
What did you put her through?
I know. I had 2 brothers. There was 3 of us.
Oh my gosh.
3 boys. Yeah, we were pretty
Triple
wild.
threat. Oh.
Yeah, we were very wild.
Are they older than you?
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 3.
Okay, so you were sort of like the follower. They were like influencing.
Yeah, but I also was very sneaky. Like I knew what I was doing too.
Okay. Right.
I wasn't just following. I was definitely leading in new ventures and other things to get myself in trouble. So I'm not the innocent one, even though I'm the baby. When you discovered mixed martial arts, now I know you're in remission, but 4 years ago when you discovered mixed martial arts, has that also helped with your anxiety?
Yes, definitely. Definitely getting that, any type of, not even aggression, but just that adrenaline, you know what I mean? That always helps me with my anxiety. Sweating, good endorphins, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's great. Joe Rogan always talks about that.
Does he?
Yeah, he's he's not against all medication, but he basically what we were talking about, just throwing, pills at a problem, to address it by a doctor. He doesn't feel that is the way to go, and that he's like, just go outside, go break a sweat,
Get
go
some
work
sunlight.
out, go hit a bag.
Yeah.
You know, like go do something.
Well, here's the problem is that everybody, if you're just given a pill, right? And I'm like, okay, this is going to fix you, and you don't change any of your lifestyle.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then people find that they really do feel better after doing these things. Now, I understand that when you're depressed or when you're in like a really dark space, it is difficult to get up and be like, oh, I'm going to go for a run. I mean, I've experienced depression.
100%.
And I understand what that's like. But I feel like once you do it and you try it one time, you'll know the feeling of the euphoria that you're going to get from it. And you're like, okay, I've been here before. I'm feeling a little depressed today, but I remember that feeling of how I felt yesterday, that good energy, and I'm going to go and relive that. I think it's that push that the martial arts side has given me in order to keep on pushing.
It is the best feeling in the world.
Yes. Yes.
I used to work out in the morning, and I don't do it anymore. I work out at night. But when I used to do it in the morning, I remember every morning I would like contemplate my life every morning, and I'd be like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But that feeling, and my day is going to be so much more productive.
Yes.
And one would think because I work out in the morning, I'm probably going to crash after lunch. That is never the case.
No.
I'm awake all day.
Yeah.
I'm alert all day. And just my thinking, my coordination, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's better.
But we are our own worst enemies.
Totally.
And that voice is the one thing that always keeps me from having a lazy day going to the gym or, you know, if, you know, anything with work or I self-sabotage myself by, you know, letting that inner voice get a hold of me.
Sometimes what I have to do in those moments is be like, okay, Gabrielle, if this was your best friend sitting on the other end and they were telling you the things of like what you were feeling, what is the advice that you would give them? I'd probably say, get up and get moving and you'll feel better. Like, come on, you're amazing. You're beautiful. Like, get up, let's go. And at the same time, while giving yourself some grace, I think that's important. So there's both spectrums, you know, like one here. And I think finding that happy medium is the overall goal for me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So. Well, it's funny. We give others, you said it's your best friend. We give other people the best advice because we want the best for them. Yeah. But when it comes to myself, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Or like, I'm good at giving people advice, but I'm not good at it for myself. It's wild how that works.
And then it's like also ways that we can train the brain, right? Like what we think is what we believe, right? So if I wake up and I tell myself every day that, I don't know, I don't like the color of my hair is ugly, boom, boom, that's what I'm going to start to believe. So I think retraining the brain and having those habits to say one nice look in the mirror and be like, it's going to feel weird to look in the mirror and be like, guess what? Your hair is great. Then you start to believe those things.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? And then that whole energy that you're putting out is only what's going to be given back to you, I believe.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you're in the process of transitioning down to Miami? Or kind of back and forth still?
Right now I'm back and forth. And then I do have to be in LA. So right now I'm here and then traveling where I need to.
All three cities?
Yeah.
New York, Miami, LA. I mean, it's the dream, but that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot, but I love it.
Yeah.
And I know that's what I need to do in order to create the best product for myself, for my fans, and what keeps me happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, does the traveling take a toll on your mental health?
Yeah, you know, sometimes it does. Sometimes it also does flare up the autoimmune condition that I have.
Yeah.
So I do make it a priority to make sure that the way that I live my life, my mornings, are very structured. So like when I'm here, if I'm training, I make sure to be training over in LA or wherever I'm going, or ice baths, saunas, I make sure that that's there as well.
Yep.
So that I can feel my best and perform my best.
I love ice baths. I love cold plunges.
I know, we should go. We should do
Saunas.
an
Are
ice
there
bath
places
party.
around here?
Yeah, there's Health X in Richfield.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's great.
Really?
It's great. They have the ice baths, the little the cryotherapy, the little box that you go into.
Yeah, they have saunas in there.
Saunas.
Infrared or
Both. They have both.
they both?
Mm-hmm.
Is this place big?
It's a nice size.
Really?
Yeah, you wouldn't know it's there. It's like tucked away in the back. But it's
love those types
beautiful.
of
It's
places.
beautiful.
So in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
there was this place. You know who Khabib is?
Yes.
Nurmagomedov. Yeah, sorry, I had a little trouble saying that last name. He used to go to. So anytime he fought in New York or New Jersey, he would go into Manhattan downtown, and there was a Russian bathhouse on Fulton. So it's down by Wall Street, and it's like underground. And it's like in a cave, kind of. It's like a cave atmosphere.
It's not there anymore?
It's still there.
Oh, we should go.
Why
Why are we not there?
It's sick. I always go there whenever I'm in New York City.
Right.
And his like pictures are all over in there because he always goes in there and he's a legend. It's so cool. It's such a fun experience. And the sauna goes to like 200 degrees. It gets
Really?
hot.
I have to go.
You have to wear something on your head or your hair will burn. You'll dry your hair.
Really?
Yeah, your hair will just be dead.
Oh, that doesn't sound fun.
Well, if you wear the hat, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to
Okay.
my ex. I have a daughter. Her mom is from Finland, and I used to go to Finland a lot. And when we were together, and it was one of the first times I tried a cold plunge. I was like with all the guys, like all the boyfriends and husbands.
Right.
And we went into the sauna, and then they cut a hole in the water, like in the lake. And they're like, all right, American, hop in. And I did it for the first time. I mean, I went in and jumped right out.
Right.
But then then the next day I went in, I stayed in for 20 seconds. Then the next day, a minute. And then I eventually built it up to, minutes. But it was one of the best feelings I had ever felt in my entire life.
Yes.
The sleep that I got that night, the REM sleep that my body felt that night, it was the most relaxing, most amazing thing.
Yeah, I agree. If I don't do it, then I'm off.
Yeah.
I'm off.
Yeah. It's an amazing feeling.
Wow. Is that the therapies like that really big over in Finland? Like the ice baths and the saunas?
Yeah. So in Scandinavian countries, it's very big. Even in Russia too. Ice bath, saunas, they're huge.
Wow.
They have like sauna offs in Finland. Like who could stay in a sauna longer?
That's something I would be into.
Someone
Is that
died.
crazy?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I forget how long.
long?
I don't know. I gotta look it up. But
That's sad.
someone died in Finland in this sauna off.
That has to be like
I'm laughing at the name, not the guy
like
dying.
3-4 hours, right? At least.
Maybe I think longer. I think like an entire day. He was just chilling in the sauna. Yeah.
That shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, but it's been one of finalist dies at World Sauna event in Finland.
Oh.
This was in 2010. He was in there for it doesn't say. It has to say somewhere.
It has to.
Interesting. Whatever. I'm not going to sit here and read the article, but it's wild. It's crazy, but it's huge over there. It's part of their culture. Almost everyone has a house a sauna in their house.
Wow.
And like in the bathroom area. Yeah, you can go in the sauna and then just hop into the bath.
Wow. So it's interesting to see how over in like other countries that are not the United States, it seems that people have caught on maybe a little bit quicker to those practices, right?
I would agree.
Okay.
Yeah, medicine. So my ex, she always used to give me the spiel every time I would take medication for something.
Right.
And you know what? I'm not going to say she was wrong.
Well, there's things like if I have a headache, I know, okay, maybe I'm dehydrated. Let me go take some electrolytes. Usually in the past, I would take like a whole bunch of Advil. You know what I mean? And then I would be like, wait, the problem came back. What is the underlying root cause?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like that with addiction. I like how you talked before about changing, not just taking the medication, like changing your lifestyle, changing your diet, changing, etc. With addiction, I got sober 7 years ago, but I had first went to meetings probably 10 years ago. So a couple of years of just back and forth, trying this, trying that. And one of the things I would do is I would stop using drugs and stop drinking. But painkillers were my thing. I played football, had shoulder surgery.
Okay.
And even for the pain, I wouldn't go to physical therapy. I would just take the pain pills all the time.
Right.
Like, and then I would try to get off pain pills, and then I would do like, you know, a replacement. I would take like methadone or like some kind of shot that's like a replacement for it to prevent me from getting high off of painkillers. But I would never work on this and this and drugs and alcohol. There's a reason you're doing that.
Of course.
There's a reason you are it's not like, oh, you woke up one day or you were born and you just were addicted to drugs. You're doing it to escape from something deep down.
Yes.
There's symptoms: gambling, drugs, alcohol, sex addiction, whatever it is. Those are all symptoms. It's because there's something, an insecurity, a fear, a resentment, whatever it is that you're holding on to. So to your point, until you address that deep down, it's not going to change anything.
Nope. Nothing.
And you put a Band-Aid right over your problem.
And sometimes that does take time to come to terms with, right? Because we think what we're doing is right. Like, oh, I'm having a problem. Let me just go to therapy. You know what I mean? Let me just go to AA or whatever it is. And then sitting back and being like, okay, well, if this isn't 100% working, what else do I have to do? What are my other options? Right?
Yeah. Do you go to therapy?
I do.
So do I.
I do. I have a therapist. I've been with her for about 8 years.
That's amazing.
So she has seen me through a lot of different stages in my life, which is really great because sometimes when you're talking to a therapist or you're going over issues, like finding a good therapist can be very difficult, which is why I have a lot of friends who are like, oh, I don't like therapy because the therapist is not understanding or is not listening. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. So I'm grateful to have somebody who really understands the growth and where I'm at. So, yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. Best of luck to you in your career. And plug your socials. Where can people find you?
So everything is my first and last name, Gabrielle Cacciola. My first single will be dropping in January, and you could find that on all streaming platforms.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Congrats.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing how far you go.
I appreciate that.
Thanks
Thanks for having me.